We're gonna let it build for a second. All right. Time. Understanding context is vital to understanding something's potential. Today, y'all are going to have a coffee that's been meticulously processed, small batch roasted, and diversely prepared to showcase all of its context and all of its potential. In front of you, you'll see menus. They reiterate flavor notes, recipes, and ingredients. They're designed to be taken back with you to calibration. And head judge, that water's for you. This is a pink bourbon, courtesy of Wilton Benitez from Granja Paricio 92, which is located 1,900 meters above sea level at the southernmost convergence point of three bountiful and domineering mountain ranges that span all of Western Colombia. This altitude ensures ultimate sugar development and ripeness of our cherry, thanks to the volatile shift in temperatures from day to night, giving us an idealistic climate for growing coffee. With such an idealistic climate, you'd think that coffee had been growing here all this time, but in reality, coffee wasn't brought to this part of the world until around 400 years ago, when French missionaries and Spanish conquerors showed up to the region with their creature comforts, like coffee and smallpox, to claim the land that was already inhabited by innovative indigenous people that had developed farming techniques that out-optimized what any European was able to achieve up until that point. Pink Bourbon, a direct relative of the variety that was smuggled into South America in the 1600s, can be incredibly difficult to cultivate, but it's worth it. Its tropical acidity and balanced sweetness with undeniable florals make it well worth its required expertise. Now, Wilton, our producer, began his coffee journey after designing an incredibly efficient green coffee drying machine that led him to think about the greater context that goes into having a coffee so expertly dried in the first place. In his eyes, the drying stage is what validates the sensorial quality of a coffee. So why wouldn't he want to experiment with exciting varieties or try his hand at a processing method or two to capitalize on all the potential of that context? This coffee undergoes two 36-hour fermentations where it's naturally separated from the mucilage while also gaining complexity and a vibrant acidity. The yeast that's introduced during this fermentation phase increases the magnesium content in our coffee, resulting in a pronounced florals in our espresso. After fermentation, our coffee is dried in Wilton's patented heatless drying machine, which uses high pressure and rapid airflow to lock in the sensorial quality of that coffee. Everything you're going to taste in this espresso is a direct reflection of this context. The developed sweetness of this coffee comes through as sweet peppers, that vibrant acidity as grapefruit juice, and those pronounced florals as hibiscus tea. It's a true medium body with a round texture and a lingering finish. with medium bitterness, high acidity, and medium sweetness. Those little racetrack mugs that you see in front of you are for your used spoons. I just ask that you stir in a circle and count to 10. Enjoy. There you go. Now, before our coffee goes through its fermentation stage, it goes through what's called a thermoshock process, where directly after picking, our cherry is submerged in 90 degrees Celsius water for 30 seconds before being plunged back into cold water. This intensifies the development of our coffee and delivers us a milk drink rich with baked fruit notes. I'm using freeze distilled milk at a 1-to-3 ratio to bolster sweetness and transform the sweet notes of our coffee, or transform the notes of our espresso into their sweetest expression. In this milk drink, I want you to look for notes of warmed banana bread with butter all over it and butterscotch. This cloud-like and fluffy milk drink does an excellent job at putting all that context of our coffee into the most approachable and cozy method possible. Again, you're looking for warm baked banana bread, nutty baked banana, a little sweet, some pastry, and butterscotch. We're in Portland. It is the brunch capital of the world. So imagine one of the best brunches you could have. That's what it's like. Enjoy.
Let's give it up for those milk drinks!
Inspired by Wilton's journey with this coffee, I wanted to approach the signature drink by mimicking his processes to highlight the core aspects that make this coffee so special. So we begin with 40 grams of our coffee. Of course, it's been chilled for ultimate clarity of flavors, to which I'm going to be adding 20 grams of what I'm calling a kiwi difficult syrup because it's not simple. Following the same method as our thermoshock method, I take skin-on green kiwis and vacuum macerate them in a fourth of their weight in cane sugar, and then sous vide that at 90 degrees Celsius for half an hour. This extracts every last juice out of it, and that juice, when combined with the sweet pepper notes of our espresso, gives us a new note of cantaloupe in our signature beverage. Then, inspired by the two fermentation processes that our coffee go through, I have two fermented ingredients, 15 grams of a kefir, and then 7 grams of a fermented tomato water. Not only do they mimic the processes that our coffee has undergone, they're also going to transform our acidity, going from citric and drying to fresh and tangy for our signature beverages. Tomatoes, indigenous to South America, growing in those big, bountiful hills long before coffee ever was, offer a bright, airy, fresh take on acidity. And when they're fermented, they take on that acidity as its body. Its saline solution or its saline base is also going to showcase the sweetness of our kiwis and our espresso. Made by taking 600 grams of tomatoes, parking it for 4 days with a 5% salt solution. That reserve liquid, when combined with the grapefruit notes of our espresso, is going to give us a new flavor of celery juice. And then last, of course, kefir, a fermented milk beverage that relies on a balance of yeasts, grains, and lactic acid to develop a creamy body, is reminiscent of our milk course. But in this application, when combined with the hibiscus notes of our coffee, transformed to a new flavor of chamoy, a fermented fruit paste that's sweet, sour, and savory. I'm charging this with nitro. This is going to create efficient emulsification as well as add texture, making the body of our signature beverage creamy or plush and silky. Just going to quickly extract this. Lastly, I'm finishing it off with an aromatic cloud made from green bananas. I take green bananas whole, chop them up, skins, stem, all of it, and then vacuum steep that with a 1:5 ratio of water and glycerin. Green bananas represent the potential, the ultimate potential of sweetness. They're green, obviously, snappy, earthy, floral. In this application, they're going to serve to remind us of where this coffee came from. The earth and the sky, the climate, everything that contributes to flavor well beyond Wilton or my team's manipulation. Please sip from the non-foamy side. The aromatic experience is going to be honeydew, which will lead you perfectly into that first sip of cantaloupe. And take a good whiff before each sip. There you are. It was a pleasure to serve y'all this morning. An even bigger pleasure to serve this coffee, truly. There you are. Please. Time.
Let's hear it for Becky Reeves representing Creature Coffee out of Austin, Texas.
Yeah.
Wow. What a just routine, went so many places. Even the ending with your signature drink looks so stellar. Just tell me kind of like how you got here. What brought you back to competition?
What brought me back to competition? I mean, the community of it all and just the seek of excellence is just so prevalent here at competition. And we got to try this amazing coffee that was just like, why wouldn't we compete with it? And there's just like so much to be said about coffee too. Like this is a very, very edited like version of all the things I wish I could say for like 4 hours, you know? But yeah, I just think coffee is just such an excellent view into like the world and like the history of the world and the history of like how people have interacted with each other. And so I tried to cover that as much as I could in 15 minutes.
Well, I think you did a great job. I think like the way you tied it together narratively really spoke to me. I was having fun with it. I feel like
Great.
everyone who got to see your routine was having fun with it.
Good.
Including this stellar cheer section that you have.
For real, absolutely stellar.
Is there anyone you'd like to thank?
For sure. I mean, Creature, it's like a little about me. I don't work in a cafe anymore. I work at a restaurant. And so Creature has just been like so generous with the space and with their time. Bud was like my right hand man through all of it, like roasted the coffee phenomenally and getting to like learn about roasting and just how coffee tastes with them throughout this whole process has been just such a treat. And I've learned so much. It like endless amounts of gratitude. Like I borrowed everything from everybody thanks to my Airbnb host that doesn't know we stole like a tray and bags. So
oh, I know that move. Well, love to hear it. Let's give another big round of applause for Becky. And as well, just a little...
Yeah.